Protesting. The act of publicly expressing one's objection, disapproval, or dissent towards an idea or course of action. The right to join with fellow citizens in protest or peaceful assembly is critical to a functioning democracy and is at the core of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. After the tragic death of George Floyd, who was murdered in police custody on May 25th of this year, protests have erupted across all 50 U.S. states to protest police brutality and the country's long history with systemic racism. Many of these protests have been coordinated by the global organization Black Lives Matter, with similar protests being held across the entire globe. Black Lives Matter was funded in 2013 in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer.
I just thought we were going to get some kind of justice.
Their mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. These protests are demanding justice for those brutalized by police and for a drastic change in how law enforcement operates. The protests have been going on for 16 days so far and have shown no signs of slowing down.
How can you win? You can't win.
Most of these protests have remained peaceful, but occasionally tension has resulted in rioting, looting, and police brutalizing individuals trying to protest peacefully. My name's Anthony Padilla, and today I'm going to be attending a Black Lives Matter protest in downtown Los Angeles to learn firsthand what this movement means to these protesters. Is the Black Lives Matter movement truly making a difference in the way black lives are viewed in the fight for civil rights? Or are people fighting to change a system that's simply far too broken to ever be rebuilt? Are these protesters generally peaceful and harmless, simply hoping to raise awareness by showing up en masse? Or are they truly the worst of what some media has portrayed them as? Criminal anarchists and thugs who demand their cities succumb to the purge. Hello, Nate, Kate, Ebo, Diana, Ashley, Cassandra, Mecca, thank you so much for being down to be on here and teach us a little bit about the Black Lives Matter movement.
Sure, anytime.
What motivated you to come out to this protest today?
It's my duty to be out here to be a voice for my people.
This has been a reality for my life growing up, so it's not really a motivation.
The injustices need to stop, basically. But honestly, it should have been happening a long time ago.
These modern day lynchings, as soon as I go on to Instagram apps or social media, whatever, it's everywhere. And it's almost as if we're being forced to normalize it in a sense because it happens so often. I don't want my niece and my future children growing up in a world like that. I mean, my ancestors, they were out here, they protested, and we got like desegregation and things of that nature, and now I really see things happening. Real change is coming forward. I can't just sit at home and watch from the television, no way.
I was with my friend when we got rubber bullets shot at us, when it was maybe about 10 women in the front with our hands up saying, hands up, don't shoot. I got a glimpse of what it was like for a black person every day, and I was just like, this is terrifying.
For the last year now, I've been fighting the system here over Skid Row and what's going on with homelessness. I had an opportunity to be an on-site property manager after losing my housing myself and going through the process. I started working with the system, interacting with inspectors, all this, and I saw literally that there was no value attached to the life there. I was being gaslighted, stonewalled, and so forth, and denied access to the justice system, denied access to police reports. Pretty much whatever you can do to say you've been exiled from our justice system, that was done to me.
You were silenced.
I was silenced completely.
My brother, Daniel Hernandez, was killed by LAPD just a few weeks before that. And it really has affected our family. And we know that it's a problem in our community of South LA. He was a loving father, a loving son, and a loving brother. He was there for all of us. And now he's gone, and nothing can replace his life and the anguish that our family is going through. That's why we're all here to seek justice for him, and hopefully that things change so that this doesn't happen to other families in our community and any community.
How confident are you that these protests will actually lead to change?
I'm very confident. I mean, we've seen change that we hadn't seen in years and years of trying to get these. I'm from the South, I'm from North Florida. My cousin's in Richmond. She watched them take down that Confederate statue. They took $150 million out of the police department budget. We're making change now in ways that haven't been made before.
It's as confident as we can be. You know, you just have to look to one another left and right, and you have to put out into the universe what you want to get achieved. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to take a day. It's not going to take a month. It may take years, but the first step is believing. But if you don't believe, then you won't achieve anything, period.
I feel like our voices are more heard today and weeks before than it ever has been. So that's why you see so much change going on within the past 2 weeks.
So basically, don't let up.
Yeah, pretty much don't let up.
It's the first time that I've truly felt there might be some hope. And maybe not for me, but for my youth, where I see a crack in the mold. I see a crack. I don't know what that crack will lead to in the time, but we at least have a crack. We have attention. We have more eyes. And most importantly, we have support.
I feel like any Black person who has ever been oppressed, ever experienced it, needs to come out here and see how many allies we have now. Because back in those days of segregation, there were only Black people marching and being tortured and sprayed. But now we have everyone with us. We have Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. You guys are here with us. And I feel like it's so important for us who have been oppressed to see that not everyone is as bad as the bad guys. I think we are actually going to be the generation that ends racism. Like how
Whoa, that's a big statement.
I think so.
That would be,
I think so.
I'd say that would be a win for everyone.
I can't wait.
How do you feel about people saying all lives matter?
All lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
If all lives mattered, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
Because Black lives are included in all lives.
I think all lives will matter once you consider that Black lives matter first.
Right. And people are fighting for that acknowledgement that Black lives matter, because of course all lives matter and Black lives are part of all lives.
Exactly, but all lives aren't threatened right now. We're working on the ones that are.
They don't realize that our community is persecuted by the police. They treat our community as criminals. They don't treat us like human beings.
If I scrape my knee, Anthony, am I gonna give you the Band-Aid or am I gonna get the Band-Aid?
Maybe if I said, what about my legs? They matter.
Oh, but I'm the one that's bleeding, so.
That is absolutely true.
All of us do matter, but right now our African-American brothers and sisters are in need of our voices.
What do you think about the phrase, silence is violence?
Silence is violence because it's like negligence, right? It's like that scene where someone's injured and someone will walk by and say, oh, the next person will help. Oh, the next person. Oh, maybe the next person. Maybe I'm not qualified. Maybe someone already called 911.
Yeah.
You know, so it's neglect, and it just, and yeah, nothing will get done. If not me, then who?
If you're not vocal and you're not speaking, you're basically saying you don't care. And you don't care that people are, not living a fair life and don't have a fair end of the draw, then, that blood's on your hands for anything that is done when you're not doing anything about it. So it is violence in a way because you're,
complacent.
Exactly.
This Malcolm X quote right here, right? Freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody, right? So if you're sitting there silent and you're enjoying your privilege, you're enjoying that freedom as a white person in our society, that is just the same as being someone who is outwardly racist, right? Because you're complicit in that issue.
Stand for something or fall for anything. In the wise words of Malcolm X, honestly, if you say to me that you are not racist, like, that's all that we want to hear. Stand with us then, if that's the case. Don't just watch from afar. Don't just let it happen, because that's really like that shadowedness, that cowardness. Like, we don't need that in these times.
Do you feel safe out here protesting despite the thousands of videos that have been released online highlighting just how much police brutality is really going on, even at these peaceful protests?
So I took a rubber bullet here. It was also a beanbag that went right there. So I got thanks LAPD on my leg. And then I was also out there on Monday and was arrested. So these bullets, they really hurt, and this is a lot of damage. That was, 10, 11 days ago now. I actually met with a doctor and I was told that this is infected now. So it's not just a non-lethal ammo that they're using. They're just shooting this indiscriminately into crowds. They're not concerned about public safety. They're not protecting us. And most importantly, they're shooting real bullets at Black people almost every day. If they're going to do this to a little white girl, I can't imagine the kind of things that people of color go through at the hands of the police daily that's not being reported.
They are the ones that are inciting violence at these rallies, and they're dressed up for war. They're outfitted for war, and so of course their mentality is going to be to try to stoke the flames. And seeing that countless times over and over and over again, just being so brutal against protesters, seeing that nationwide at all these protests. It's just absolutely appalling.
I got hit in the chest multiple times with that little stick thing they have or whatever. And I'm telling you, they cause people to start breaking things, some of them. And then they turn around and start shooting at you. I literally saw the energy, and some people was like, oh, they just needed something to, like, oh, yeah, out or something. And then before you knew it, pow, things started breaking.
These protests have lasted longer than many in recent history have. Why do you think people are so fired up about this movement in particular?
I honestly think it was a trifecta of all of us being cooped. And yeah, you're gonna have your conspiracy theories of the timing and the irony and the silver lining of why we all have to pay attention because we don't have sports and all these activities that distract us. You know what I mean?
So you think it's louder right now because there's a lot less distractions that we have in our lives?
100%.
You've seen that so many times over the past few years, ever since like even when Trayvon Martin passed away. So now like when the George Floyd happened a few weeks ago, I feel like that just was a wake-up call for everybody.
Right. You think people didn't quite realize how bad it was?
I feel like the black people did, but now that you see that happened on camera and he had no remorse for having his knee on someone's neck, you can see like this is something that we really need to change and it needs to happen now.
They've been doing this for so long, and now people are saying, oh, I still have time to change my perspective. I can still be a part of the solution and not the problem. You know, so there's more time and there's more social media and things like that to get word out that people have to see it. It's in front of them. If they turn a blind eye, then they're just being negligent, and they're going to start seeing, oh, my friends are still talking about this. You know, you're going to feel alone if you're not a part of this.
So there's becoming more of a motivation to speak up because everyone is?
Yeah.
Videos are flooding the internet of what's really happening and the police brutality that is a reality. And I feel like since we have so much time to be sitting on our phones and seeing these things, we know that we all have the time to be doing something about it. Like personally, I don't really want to go back to work until we fix some of this.
Sophie wants to know how people who can't protest can help this movement.
The best way that you can help is by donating, obviously, but even if you don't have that money or that time to be able to donate, you can always share resources for others to donate, and you can always go and sign petitions. There's a number of petitions out there on change.org that you can find.
What do you think the biggest misconception is about the Black Lives Matter movement?
That the protests are just horrible, and all we're doing is like breaking things and you know of that sort.
You see a lot of rioting,
exactly.
A lot of looting.
Well, the misconception is that these thugs are things up or messing things up.
Well, the president himself said thugs in all caps are the reason for many problems.
He's the thug. The white people in power are the thugs. Historically, our country has terrorized every country we've ever touched.
I see people that are protesting here cleaning up trash. I see people handing out water and snacks and food and supporting one another. I don't see any thuggish behavior happening here, at least.
Absolutely not.
How do you feel when you hear stories or see these videos of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and the thousands upon thousands of others who have experienced injustice at the hand of police?
As a black woman, it could be me. I feel empathetic. You know, I feel like, oh my God, like if I had been in that town or at that time, that would have been me. And I mean, I have 5 brothers that are black men. So I feel that. I feel it deep.
It just breaks your heart, man. I mean, it just crushes because I have had my run-ins in the law, and had I been in the bad mood or that officer in the bad mood and the circumstance was what it was and didn't turn a certain way, you know, I could be on a different statistic, you know?
Right. Just a number then.
I could be a number. So it's hard to swallow because it could be your friend, it could be your nephew, it could be your own child, not even yourself, you know? You just look at people of color and then you look at your family and your relatives and your friends. It's just living with that type of fear. It really takes from the growth and I call it the what's possible, you know, of how you put the laws of attraction out in life, you know, that really pulls down a group of people.
Thank you so much, Mecca. I appreciate you coming on here and teaching us about the Black Lives Matter movement.
After spending the day with these BLM protesters, I've come to learn just how much they're risking by demanding justice and change in their country. In a world where history has repeated itself time and time again, Shouldn't we all take this moment to do as much as we possibly can to ensure we break this vicious cycle of systemic oppression?
And racism.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I was going 91 miles per hour in the freeway and a cop stopped me. And he's all like, why are you going 91 miles per hour? I said, sir, you know, it says it right there. And he's like, you idiot, this is a 91 freeway. And I said, God damn, you should have seen me on the 405. and then he gave me a ticket.